Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the reverse logistics of e-commerce brands, which means returns and refunds. Before we go ahead, remember to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video because this is going to help us grow, but also make sure that you receive updates about my next release. So moving forward with our topic, today we're going to talk about returns, refunds, the overall reverse logistics and the best practices. And what I can say and start to say is that ideally, it's an inevitable part of e-commerce brands. It's something that you can't really avoid, especially in, for example, apparel. When it comes to apparel, you are forced to follow certain rules. But in general, it's something that many brands, especially at the beginning, they don't consider. But it's actually really important to keep track of those returns and the refunds because you could save a lot of money, especially when you're out of stock or you have, you don't have control on your supply chain in a way that you're often out of stock. So you actually need even the last, even one unit could make the difference, in having a recurrent customer. So you never know. It's actually really important to, when it comes to, for example, low margins or whenever it comes to low stocks or frequent out of stock, problems with the manufacturer, to restock and have as much as products as possible back in stock from the returns. And ideally you want to make sure you actually get them. So people often forget about that. They consider returns are like, just because it's 5-10% of my business, of the return rate is 5 to 10%, it's okay, we will deal with that later, but it's actually impacting somehow on a monthly basis your revenues as well. Let's look a little bit more into the details on how you should overall manage and what are the best practices when it comes to returns. Overall, let's call it reverse logistics. First of all is to have a good and comprehensive return policy. So when I go on your website and I have a look and I want to try to understand how to return products, I need to be able to understand how it works, if I'm going to pay for the shipping, when I'm going to get my refund, how I'm going to get my refund, how can I ship it to you, and if there's any barrier. Because when I ship back, ideally, if I'm in the US and I'm shipping back to China, for example, or I'm shipping back to the UK, well, I may need to pay duties or taxes. So I need to know what procedure to follow when it comes to shipping back to you. And many brands actually underestimated that. They don't really specify. And then, of course, customers are no logistics manager, they're not shipping managers, they're not operation managers, they have no idea about how international shipping works. So they may end up having higher costs because of that. And of course, that's going to ruin your brand image because they're going to be like, I didn't know, they didn't inform me, they just tell me to return here, and this is what I did, but I didn't know, and da-da-da-da-da-da. So this is going to ruin your reputation, and it's important to list all the details and have a clear, let's say, policy written there. List down if there's any handling fee. For example, if you return something that you tried on, I need to charge you a handling fee because now I need to repack this product. I need to check that it's good, I need to repack it into another bag, and so on. So you need to list down any potential charges, the time frame, how long it's going to take, how to return it, we just said it. So make it clear and concise. Ideally, you should offer multiple return options. I know many people think like, I don't want my customers to return anything, but on the other side, this is going to create a very bad customer experience in case, especially when it comes to certain products like apparel. I said it multiple times, for certain type of products, it's okay to don't make it so clear because the chances that they're going to return products are lower. But when it comes to apparel, it's actually very frequent. Most of the time, you're going to get products back because of a size, it's too long, it's too short, it doesn't fit me well, I don't know. So there's a higher chance to actually get it returned. And you may have a lot of customers complaining and leaving bad reviews about your brand. And of course, you should include policies about defective and damaged items. So what's going to happen for those? If I receive a damaged item, if I receive a defective item, or even worse, if the courier doesn't deliver my products. This is more the shipping policy, but you can consider the same, like, I didn't get my product, what I'm going to do? And this is something that many brands don't really specify, and often they don't offer the reshipping, or especially when they say You know, it's something that happens a lot in the US, that they leave to the mail, the courier leaves the package in the mailbox and say deliver to the mailbox, and then no one finds it. So the customer will be like, I don't find it, and then the courier will say we deliver it, we have, you know, the deliver tracking updates saying it's delivered to the mailbox. So what do we do in that case? You should think about those things as well. And eventually when you actually get it back, you should have a process in place in the warehouse where they can check, grade, understand, you know, if the product is good or not, if it could be put back in stock or not, but also the time frame, how long it's gonna take. Because if you write down in the policy that's gonna take 15 days from the time you deliver it, from the time it's delivered, then you must make sure that that return is checked within 15 days. And then you actually, as soon as you receive the updates from the warehouse, you actually trigger the refund. Of course, what's the solution to that? It's using some softwares, platforms that allow you to check the returns and have, let's say, the warehouse checking, grading. There are many out there. They can also help you track the return statuses and so on, automatically calculate the refund amount based on multiple logics. So there are plenty of solutions out there. We'll make a video out of it. You can decide something that it's important to decide if it's the final customer that will actually pay for, if it's the customer that will pay for the label, or if you provide a prepaid label. Remember that prepaid labels, they actually have expiration dates in many cases, so just make sure that, you know, if you're shipping using standard options, which is 14 days, for example, and then the return period is 14 days, it means it's already a month. So just make sure you understand if there's any expiration date or not for your labels before you include them in the package, or before you give them back to the customer via email, for example. Maybe it's going to take for them a month to return it, because also many brands, what they do, they say, okay, you have 14 days to let us know if you want to return it. Then I let you know within 14 days, but I ship you in a month from now. That's a total different story. You should probably include this disclaimer as well in the shipping policy or return policy. I ideally suggest to have a separate policy just for the returns. You have return policy, you have shipping policy, just to make things clearer and easy to find as well. Of course, you want to have you want to improve the process, you want to hear from your customers, so always ask for feedbacks. You can run a survey right after as well, asking them what's their experience with the return process. Definitely they're going to complain about it. It should be as smooth as possible, but I understand that you want to add some friction, so that if someone is returning but is actually not really sure that he wants to return it, or if you want to keep it, maybe it's good thing to have some friction in the return, let's say, process. But for many customers, I would say 80% of them, they really want to return it, they really want to take this off from their list, they want to give it back, get the money back, and it needs to be smooth. So one of the main challenges when it comes to reverse logistics is the communication with the warehouse. It's like if the warehouse actually meets the SLA and the service level that they promise you or not, because that's what's going to trigger, let's say, a delay in the refund process. And a delay in the refund process, it means you're breaking the SLA with your customer, and you're not really in control of that. So you can also keep monitoring your warehouse and make sure they are accountable and they're actually doing things on time. But also you should make sure that the grading, the conditions, and the restocking, they're done properly by having some auditing from time to time. If you can have someone in the warehouse whenever this process is done, it's even better. If there's a cutoff, even better, because you can accumulate, send someone there, check out the processes, you know, if it's smooth, if they're you know, able to actually grade it properly, and so on. So it's difficult when you work cross-border, when you actually have warehouses in different places of the world, so you can't really control, you can't be in all places all the time, but you can have some representatives there that can help you do that. Hope it was helpful. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to hit the button subscribe, but also leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this video, because this is gonna help us grow. See you in the next one.